Look, if you live to be 80 years old, you are going to spend over 20 straight years of your actual life just staring at screens. Crazy, right? Yeah, just let that sink in for a second. I mean, these tech billionaires, they have literally engineered your phone to act like a pocket-sized slot machine. It is just feeding you endless hits of cheap dopamine. But listen, here's the best part. You can actually reverse the damage. Today, we are diving deep into Thibaut Meurisse's book, Dopamine Detox, and I'm going to show you exactly how to unplug from the matrix.
Listen, what if I told you that the reason you can't stop scrolling isn't because you're actually enjoying it, but because your brain's anticipation system has literally been hacked by Silicon Valley? Crazy, right? I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. You're sitting there at your desk, you have a massive project due, or maybe you have a personal goal you've been dying to start, like writing a book or launching a side hustle. You know exactly what you need to do. You even set your alarm early. But instead of doing the work, you pick up your phone. You check your email. You open Instagram. You watch a YouTube short, and then another, and then another. And before you know it, an entire hour has vanished. And the craziest part? You didn't even enjoy that hour. You feel empty, a little anxious, and incredibly frustrated with yourself. You sit there thinking, why am I so lazy? Why do I have zero willpower? Why can't I just focus like all those hyper-productive people I see online? Well, look, I'm here to tell you to stop beating yourself up. Because your procrastination is not a character flaw. It is not a lack of discipline, and you definitely don't need to watch another motivational video to get hyped up. What you're experiencing is a biological overstimulation problem. Your neurochemistry is literally playing tricks on you. Today, we are going to dive deep into a concept that will completely change how you view your own productivity and your daily habits. We're going to talk about the molecule of more, how your dopamine system has been hijacked, and why the secret to getting hard things done is not finding more motivation, but actually seeking out less stimulation. Let's break this down simply, because there's a massive misconception out there about what dopamine actually is. I mean, if you ask most people, they'll tell you that dopamine is the pleasure chemical. They think it's the warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you eat a slice of chocolate cake or when you win a game. But that is completely wrong. Dopamine is not about pleasure. It is about anticipation. It is the neurotransmitter of desire, of wanting, of looking forward to a potential reward. From an evolutionary standpoint, this was incredibly useful. Thousands of years ago, dopamine is what kept our ancestors alive. It's what gave them the drive to go out and hunt for food, to seek shelter, to reproduce. It's the force that makes us take action, to earn an exciting reward that's waiting for us. But here's the catch. Once you actually get the reward, the dopamine drops. Have you ever noticed that the moment you finally buy that thing you've been obsessing over for weeks, the excitement just vanishes? You're left feeling kind of empty and unfulfilled. That's because dopamine only cares about the chase. It is literally the molecule of more. The more your environment triggers the release of dopamine, the more you want your next shot of it. And this self-reinforcing mechanism is exactly how addictions work. Now, let's fast forward to today. We are no longer hunting and gathering in the wilderness, but our biology hasn't changed. We still have this powerful anticipation engine in our brains. And guess what? The modern world knows this. Your focus is a scarce asset, and marketers, app developers, and social media companies spend billions of dollars to attract your attention. They have essentially hijacked your dopamine neurotransmitters. Think about the red notification badge on your phone. Whenever you see that little red dot, you anticipate a reward. It could be a message from a friend, a like on your photo, or some exciting breaking news. That anticipation triggers a massive release of dopamine, but clicking it rarely makes you happy or fulfilled. You just want to click the next one and the next one. YouTube suggested videos, Facebook news feeds, Instagram endless scrolls. These are all sophisticated algorithms designed to hook you into a never-ending loop of anticipation. You aren't using the internet anymore. The internet is using you. And this creates a massive problem for your productivity. It creates what we can call the overstimulation gap. Here's how it works. When you're constantly engaging in highly stimulating activities like checking stats, refreshing your feed, or binge-watching videos, your brain gets used to a very high level of stimulation. It starts demanding more and more. But the important work you need to do, like writing a report, studying for an exam, or building a business, requires a much lower, calmer level of stimulation. So when you sit down to do the hard work, your brain rebels. The gap between your current high level of digital stimulation and the lower level needed to tackle difficult tasks is huge. You are literally on a different stimulation wavelength, and that wavelength has no overlap with the deep focus required to do your major tasks. Regular work suddenly appears incredibly dull, boring, and unappealing. You ask yourself, why would I stare at a blank document when I could be watching something exciting? This is when your mind starts playing tricks on you to keep you overstimulated. It sets traps. The first trick your mind plays is convincing you that returning to work will be easy. You tell yourself, I'll just check my feed for 5 minutes and then I'll get right back to my project. But once you're overstimulated, getting back to work is like trying to stop a moving freight train. You can't just snap back into deep focus. The second trick is the illusion of later. Your mind tells you that you have plenty of time in the afternoon, or you can just do it tomorrow. The third trick is confusing excitement with fulfillment. Your mind sells you on how much fun you're having scrolling, but excitement is temporary and leaves you empty, whereas true fulfillment comes from doing meaningful work.
And the fourth trick is the fear of missing out. You feel like if you don't check your email right now or read the news this very second, you're going to miss out on a limited opportunity. But listen, it is all an illusion designed to keep you hooked on the molecule of more. So, let's just take a breath here. Imagine you and I are sitting across from each other at a quiet little coffee shop. The coffee is warm, the vibe is relaxed, and we're just having an honest conversation about life. I want you to really hear what I'm saying right now, especially if you live here in the US or anywhere where hustle culture is just constantly shoved down your throat. We live in a society that is absolutely obsessed with working harder, grinding longer, and pushing through the pain. We're told that if we're not succeeding, if we're putting things off, it's because we're weak. It's because we don't want it badly enough. We're told we need more discipline, more willpower, more motivational podcasts, more energy drinks. But I want to give you permission right now to let all of that heavy guilt go. I mean, it's exhausting, isn't it? Waking up every day, promising yourself you're going to be productive, and then feeling like a total failure by noon because you got sucked into your phone.
Look, you are not a failure. You are a human being with a brain that evolved to survive in the wild. And that brain is currently being manipulated by the smartest engineers in the world who are actively weaponizing your neurochemistry against you. It is not a fair fight. When you realize that your procrastination is not a lack of discipline, but rather a biological overstimulation problem, it is a massive relief. It changes the entire game. You don't need to force yourself to be more motivated. You just need to intentionally lower your baseline level of stimulation. Think about how liberating that is. Instead of waking up and trying to summon the willpower of a superhero to tackle your hardest task, you just need to protect your morning from high stimulation activities. You just need to keep your phone in another room. You just need to avoid opening that open-ended system like your email or your social media feed. If you can keep your brain calm, if you can prevent that massive spike of dopamine right out of the gate, that hard, meaningful work won't actually feel that hard. It will naturally become more appealing because your brain isn't screaming for a digital slot machine. I want you to start noticing these traps in your own life. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up and your hand instinctively reaches for your phone on the nightstand, catch yourself. Notice that urge. That is the molecule of more talking. That is anticipation, not pleasure.
Ask yourself, is checking this screen right now going to bring me deep, lasting fulfillment? Or is it just going to spike my dopamine and leave me restless and unable to focus for the rest of the morning? We have to start treating our attention like the incredibly valuable resource that it is. Your focus is worth billions to these tech companies. It should be worth everything to you, because your focus is what builds your dreams. It's what creates your art, your business, your relationships, your peace of mind. You can choose to control your focus, or you can let someone else take it away from you to line their own pockets. So, the next time you find yourself staring at a screen, endlessly scrolling, feeling that weird mix of numbness and anxiety, I want you to remember this conversation. Remember that you are not enjoying it. You are just caught in an anticipation loop. Forgive yourself. Put the device down and step away. Give your brain a chance to reset. Give yourself the gift of a calm mind. Because when you step away from the noise, when you lower the stimulation, you will find that you are more than capable of doing the hard things. In fact, you might even find that you enjoy them. Listen, if you check your email or open a web browser first thing in the morning, you have already lost the battle for your daily productivity. Crazy, right? But here is exactly why you need to start using closed systems instead. Think about how your typical morning usually goes. You wake up, you roll over, and you grab your phone. Maybe you just intend to turn off your alarm, but while the screen is lit up, you see a couple of notifications. So you tap your email app, you see a message from your boss, a couple of newsletters, maybe a client asking a question. Then you figure, hey, I'm already awake. Let me just quickly check Instagram or scroll through TikTok for 5 minutes to get my brain going, right? Well, next thing you know, 45 minutes have passed. You finally drag yourself out of bed, you sit down at your desk to do that one big important project you promised yourself you would finish today, and your brain just feels like absolute mush. You cannot focus. You feel restless. You open up a blank document, stare at it for 10 seconds, and immediately feel this overwhelming urge to open a new tab to check the news or check Slack or check your email again. You sit there feeling guilty, wondering why you have zero willpower, wondering why you can't just focus like a normal person. But what if I told you that your lack of focus has absolutely nothing to do with your willpower? What if the reason you can't concentrate is simply because of the environment you chose to put your brain in during the first 10 minutes of your day? This brings us to one of the most brilliant and practical concepts in the entire book. It's the distinction between what the author calls open systems and closed systems. Understanding this one simple difference will completely change how you sit down to work. Let's break it down. What exactly is an open system? Look, an open system is simply an application or a situation that provides you with a continuous, never-ending supply of external stimuli. Think about your email inbox. Think about Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Slack, or honestly just the internet as a whole. Whenever you enter an open system,
You are stepping into an environment that has absolutely no finish line. There is no point at which you can ever be truly finished. You never reach the bottom of your social media feed. There is always another recommended video on YouTube. There is always the possibility of a new email arriving if you just hit refresh one more time. Because there is no end to reach, there is an almost infinite number of ways for you to become distracted. When you enter an open system, especially first thing in the morning, you risk becoming massively overstimulated. You are giving your brain a buffet of unpredictable rewards. You're scrolling down your news feed for no reason, watching one video after the next, or messaging a friend and getting sucked into a long conversation. And here's the trap.
Once you finally close that open system, once you finally close the web browser or put your phone down, you might find yourself so highly stimulated that you will deeply struggle to begin your actual work. Your brain is buzzing. It is looking for the next hit of information. So when you try to transition to a difficult, challenging task, your brain completely rejects it. Now, let's look at the exact opposite. What is a closed system? A closed system is an environment that offers little or no room for distractions. It is finite, it is isolated, it has boundaries. Because of this, it forces you to work on your task and only on your task. Some perfect examples of closed systems are a single Excel spreadsheet, a blank Word document, or a PowerPoint presentation. I mean, there is no news feed inside a Word document. There are no trending topics inside an Excel spreadsheet. It is just you and the work. The author of the book points out that he strives to open the file for the book he is currently writing before doing absolutely anything else on his computer. He avoids checking his phone. He starts his day with a closed system. And you know what? This is the ultimate productivity hack. When you begin your working day with a closed system, you completely avoid becoming overstimulated because your brain has not been hijacked by the infinite noise of the internet. That challenging, boring, or tedious task actually feels manageable. It becomes easier for you to work on the hard stuff. And as you do this each day, you will feel better, you will build momentum, and you will actually want to work on even more tasks. Starting your day with a closed system is perhaps one of the biggest secrets to overcoming procrastination and becoming insanely productive, because you are proactively designing an environment where countless distractions simply do not exist.
All right, let's take a breath and just talk about this. Imagine you and I are sitting across from each other at a quiet little coffee shop. We have our drinks, the vibe is super relaxed, and we are just having an honest conversation about how hard it is to actually get things done these days. I want to talk directly to you, especially if you are a knowledge worker, a freelancer, or an entrepreneur living in the United States right now. Our entire work culture is built around open systems. We are practically praised for living in our email inboxes and responding to Slack messages within 30 seconds. We have this hustle culture mentality that tells us we need to be constantly plugged in, constantly available, and constantly consuming information to stay ahead of the curve. But look at what it is actually doing to us. We are chronically exhausted. We are experiencing severe ADHD-like symptoms where we can't read a single page of a book without reaching for our phones. We are task switching every 3 minutes. We spend 8 hours at a desk, feel incredibly busy the entire time, and then log off at 5 o'clock, realizing we didn't actually accomplish a single meaningful thing. We just spent the whole day reacting to other people's priorities inside open systems. And you know, we love to beat ourselves up about this. We tell ourselves we just need to try harder. We need more discipline. We need to watch another motivational video. But trying harder is a losing game when your environment is designed to distract you. You cannot out-willpower a billion-dollar algorithm. You cannot out-discipline an infinite scroll. This is why the concept of closed systems is so incredibly powerful. It is not vague advice about trying harder. It is a tactical, actionable, environmental tweak that you can control. You are taking the choice out of the equation.
So, how do we actually apply this in real life? How do we take back our mornings and instantly double our deep work output? Listen, it starts tonight. Before you go to bed, I want you to figure out the one most important task you need to accomplish tomorrow. Just one. Then, I want you to set up your closed system. If you need to write a proposal, open a blank Word document, save it to your desktop, and leave it open on your screen. If you need to run some financial projections, open that specific Excel spreadsheet and leave it right there. Close every single other application on your computer. Close your web browser. Close your email client. Close Slack. Close everything except that one closed system. When you wake up tomorrow morning, I want you to protect your focus like it is the most valuable asset you own, because it is. Do not look at your phone. Do not check the news to see what is happening in the world. The world will still be there in an hour. Get your coffee, sit down at your desk, and wake up your computer. The very first thing you are going to see is that Word document or that Excel spreadsheet. You are not going to see a barrage of urgent emails. You are not going to see a notification that someone tagged you in a photo. You are just going to see the work. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might be sitting there at this coffee shop with me saying, but what if there's an emergency? What if my boss needs me right away? What if a client is freaking out? Listen, I get it. That fear of missing out, that anxiety of being disconnected is very real. But let's be completely honest with ourselves. 99% of the time, there is no emergency. That email can wait 45 minutes. That Slack message can wait 45 minutes. By giving yourself just 45 minutes of uninterrupted time inside a closed system first thing in the morning, you are going to accomplish more deep, meaningful work than most people get done in an entire week. You are going to enter a state of deep, uninterrupted flow.
And think about how amazing that is going to feel. Think about the emotional relief of hitting save on that document at 9 in the morning, knowing that you have already conquered your biggest task of the day. You have already won the battle. From that point on, the rest of the day is a breeze. You can open your email. You can jump into Slack. You can go into those open systems because you have already secured your most important win. You are no longer operating out of a place of stress and overstimulation. You are operating from a place of accomplishment and calm. We have to stop letting our environment hijack our brains. We have to stop willingly walking into open systems when we know we need to focus. I mean, it's like walking into a massive casino with flashing lights, ringing bells, and no clocks on the walls, and expecting yourself to sit down and study for a math test. It is never going to happen. You need to build yourself a quiet cabin in the woods. That is what a closed system is. It is your quiet cabin. It is a space where the noise of the world cannot reach you, where there is no infinite scroll, no finish line that keeps moving further away. There is just you, your skills, and the task at hand. So, tomorrow morning, do not open the browser. Do not open the inbox. Start your day with a closed system. Give yourself the gift of a quiet mind and a focused environment. I promise you the results will absolutely blow you away. You will stop feeling like you are constantly running on a hamster wheel, and you will finally start making real, tangible progress toward the goals that actually matter to you.
Listen, stop trying to build more willpower. Instead, I'm going to show you how to weaponize your natural laziness so that procrastinating actually becomes harder than doing the work. Crazy, right? I mean, think about how much energy you spend every single day just trying to force yourself to do things. You wake up, look at your to-do list, and immediately feel this heavy sense of dread. You tell yourself that today is the day you are finally going to be disciplined. You're going to sit at your desk, ignore your phone, and grind through that massive project. But what happens? 5 minutes into the work, your brain starts looking for an escape hatch. You know the feeling, right? You feel that familiar itch to just quickly check your email or peek at social media for a second. And then the internal battle begins. You try to use your willpower to fight off the urge. You clench your jaw, stare at the screen, and try to muscle your way into being productive. But look, willpower is like a battery, and every time you fight off a distraction, that battery drains just a little bit more. Eventually, you cave. You pick up the phone, and then comes the guilt. You sit there thinking, why am I so lazy? Why can't I just focus? Well, I have some incredibly good news for you. You are lazy, but that is not an insult, and it is not a character flaw. It is a biological fact. Today, we are going to dive into a concept from the book that completely flips the script on how we view productivity. We are going to talk about the friction principle. The author points out a simple, undeniable truth about human nature. As humans, we are fundamentally lazy. We hate wasting energy unless we are absolutely forced to. I mean, from an evolutionary standpoint, conserving energy kept us alive. Our brains are hardwired to always seek the path of least resistance. So when you try to use sheer willpower to overcome your laziness, you are literally fighting thousands of years of human evolution. It is a battle you are always going to lose. But what if instead of fighting your laziness, you actually used it to your advantage? What if you could weaponize your own laziness to make yourself insanely productive? This is where the concept of friction comes in. Generally speaking, the harder something is to access, the less likely you are to do it. And the easier something is to access, the more likely you are to do it. Friction is simply the amount of effort, steps, or energy required to perform an action. Right now, your environment is likely set up in a way that makes your bad habits completely frictionless, while your good habits are full of friction. Think about it. How much effort does it take to check your phone? Zero effort. It is sitting right next to your keyboard. You just reach out your hand, tap the screen, and you're instantly flooded with dopamine. It is the path of least resistance. But how much effort does it take to write a chapter of a book or analyze a complex spreadsheet? It takes a massive amount of cognitive energy. So of course, your lazy brain is going to choose the phone. To fix this, the book teaches us to intentionally redesign our environment by adding massive amounts of physical and mental friction to our biggest distractions. You want to make it physically annoying to access the things that normally derail your focus.
The author shares a hilarious and absolutely brilliant example of this in his own life. He realized that the internet was his biggest distraction. He would sit down to write, and inevitably, he would start browsing the web. So he decided to add friction. He took his internet modem, unplugged it, and put it in a storage room. Now, to get the internet back, he had to leave his apartment, take the elevator down 4 flights of stairs, open 6 different doors to reach the storage room, grab the modem, and then repeat all those steps in reverse just to plug it back in. That is a massive amount of friction. And you know what happened? His brain, which is fundamentally lazy and hates wasting energy, looked at that process and said, absolutely not. The energy required to go get that modem was simply too high. So his brain decided that sitting there and writing the book was actually easier than going on a 20-minute expedition to fetch the internet router. He successfully weaponized his own laziness. He made the bad habit so difficult and so annoying to execute that doing the hard work literally became the path of least resistance. And listen, you have to apply this exact same principle in reverse for the things you actually want to do. You have to remove the friction from your good habits. You want to make your desired behaviors as frictionless and effortless as possible. For example,
If you want to write in the morning, do not wait until you wake up to set up your workspace. The night before, close all your browser tabs, open up your word processor, make it full screen, and leave your computer on sleep mode. Set up your coffee mug right next to the machine. When you sit down the next morning, there are 0 steps between you and the work. You have removed all the friction. Because your mind is lazy, it will naturally just start doing the thing that is right in front of it, rather than expending the energy to close the document, open a browser, and type in a website address. All right, let's just take a second here. Let's slow down and imagine we are sitting at a corner table in a quiet coffee shop. We have our drinks, the atmosphere is totally relaxed, and we're just having an honest conversation about life. I want to talk to you directly about why this concept is so incredibly vital for us right now, especially living in the culture we do. We live in the United States in an era of maximum, unprecedented convenience. We have Amazon Prime, delivering packages to our doorsteps in a matter of hours. We have DoorDash, bringing us any food we could possibly crave with 2 taps on a piece of glass. We have instant streaming, where we can watch any movie ever made without even getting off the couch. Our entire society is engineered to remove friction from consumption. We have been deeply conditioned to expect everything instantly without having to expend any effort whatsoever. And look, this hyperconvenience is absolutely wonderful for a lot of things, but it is completely destroying our ability to do deep, meaningful work. Because when you are surrounded by a world that gives you instant gratification with 0 friction, your willpower does not stand a chance. You cannot expect yourself to just muscle through a difficult task when the most entertaining, highly engineered distractions in human history are sitting right in your pocket, completely frictionless. When your willpower inevitably fails against this hyper-convenient environment, what happens? You feel immense guilt. You feel shame. You look at highly successful people and you think they must have some magical reserve of discipline that you were simply born without. You tell yourself that you are just a procrastinator, that you are lazy, that you are broken. Listen to me. I want you to take all of that guilt, all of that shame, and I want you to just let it go right now. Just drop it. You are not broken, and you do not lack character. You are just a human being operating in an environment that is perfectly designed to exploit your natural biological desire to conserve energy. So, I am giving you permission right now to be lazy. Seriously, embrace it. But I want you to be strategically lazy. I want you to stop relying on willpower and start relying on environmental design. I want you to look around your physical space and ask yourself, how can I make doing the wrong thing incredibly annoying? If your phone is your biggest distraction, do not just put it face down on your desk and promise yourself you won't look at it. That is relying on willpower, and your willpower will break. Instead, add friction. Turn the phone completely off, not on silent, not on airplane mode, but power it all the way down. Then, walk into another room, put it inside a drawer, and shut the drawer. Now, when you are sitting at your desk and you get that sudden urge to check your messages, your brain has to do a calculation. It has to think, okay, to get that dopamine hit, I have to stand up, walk down the hall, open a drawer, hold down the power button for 3 seconds, wait a full minute for the phone to boot up, and then open the app.
Your lazy brain is going to evaluate that process and say, you know what? That is too much work. I would rather just keep typing this email. You win, not because you were strong, but because you were strategically lazy. You can apply this to anything. If you waste hours watching YouTube videos, do not just tell yourself to stop.
Install a browser extension that completely hides the recommended videos feed. Make it so incredibly tedious to find a video that you just don't bother. If you find yourself mindlessly opening social media apps on your phone, delete the apps. Force yourself to use the clunky, slow, mobile web browser version. Add friction. Make the bad habit a chore. This is how you take your power back. You stop fighting yourself and you start outsmarting yourself. You accept that you are a biological creature that wants to conserve energy, and you build a world around yourself that honors that fact. You make the right choices the easiest choices, and you make the wrong choices a massive headache. When you do this, something magical happens. The resistance you feel toward your work starts to disappear because suddenly the work is the easiest thing to do. The path of least resistance leads directly to your goals. You will find yourself getting more done in a few hours than you used to get done in an entire week. And it won't feel like a struggle. It will feel natural. It will feel effortless. So, your homework for today is simple. Identify the one distraction that is stealing most of your time and figure out how to put a massive wall of friction between you and it. Lock it up, move it away, make it annoying. Weaponize your laziness and watch how quickly your entire life transforms.